welcome to Active Parenting. I hope that I'm going to make this exciting. I hope you don't fall asleep on me. All right, we're going to try and keep you, invigorated and talk about different things. And, we can always talk about what you want to as we go along. This program is basically, it runs on itself. It's a video. You'll watch a video. We'll ask some questions. We'll answer some questions. And then we will maybe do a couple of role plays or, have a good discussion about it. All right. And this is called Active Parenting Now. I want to thank our host. Your host is the Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health and also the Parent Academy. And I want to thank the Parent Academy for always hosting this program every year. I appreciate it. And usually we do it twice a year. This is the first time I've ever done this virtually. So what can I say? It is what it is right now, and we'll get better, okay? If it's not good this week, next week it'll be even better. So we have 4 weeks, okay? 4 weeks of this program. In order for you to get a certificate, you have to attend all 4 weeks, okay? It's usually a 6-week program, but we've trimmed it down to 4 weeks. And you have to attend all 4 weeks in order to get a certificate. There are books, which I will send to you. You can either send Kelly or Sandra your email and also your address. And also I will need your email because I'll send you also a link, and I have a link here. If you don't want me to send it to you, then you can copy the link down. But if you don't get the link, I'd like for someone to send it out to you. Okay, let's see, what else?
I just...
Well, let's get... Go ahead.
I just quickly want to add that we do want to send out this material and get it to you just so that you're able to engage fully on the workshop. But we do understand that it's probably not, some people may not feel comfortable sharing their private information on the chat. So there's 2 different ways we can do this. You can either message me privately and I'll make note of your information and then share it with Ms. Busby. Or you can always also email us, and then we'll make sure that, we're keeping all of your information confidential. So again, we need your name, email, and an address.
Okay, so we can send your book. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you just for a minute, okay? And all right. So the name of this program is called Active Parenting. This is the 4th edition. It was done by Michael Popkins, Dr. Michael Popkins. And the reason I love this program is because I have children who I raised who had mental health challenges and behavioral challenges. And this was the only program that I saw that, worked on their strengths, helped them build their strengths, and worked for me. So I wanted to really be able to present this to other families so that they could get the information that was provided. So let's see how we can get through this, okay? All right, so who am I? I'm Pat Mosby. I'm from the Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health. And, okay. And the other thing is that what is my role? I am a facilitator. I am not a parent of the year or anything like that. I make my mistakes. I still yell and scream sometimes. But I've learned a lot on how to work with youth and especially work with my own children. So what is active parenting? Well, I'm gonna I'll show you a video in a few minutes, but active parenting is a way of working with your children that really helps you work on their strengths. It's a positive strength-based program, and we'll talk about that more. Now, what I would like to do is also talk about who are you? Okay, so let's see. If we go down, the first person on my list is Barnabas. So Barnabas, just real quick again, can you unmute and tell us who you are again? And do you have any kids?
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Buenas tardes. I don't know if my Spanish is good. I'm learning. My name is Barnabas Asonglefak Nkemleke. I come initially from the English-speaking part of a country in West Africa called Cameroon. I speak English, French, and West African Pidgin English. And I'm father to 5 men. They were boys, they were children, they are now all men. I came to this country in 1998. My youngest son was 8 years old. They are all boys. I don't have a girl yet, but my first son has a queen for the family. I have 5 grandchildren, 4 boys and 1 girl. And as I said before, I work with Montgomery County Public Schools as a parent community coordinator at Joan Lelek Elementary School at Broad Acres, that's near Piney Branch, and Jackson Road Elementary School behind White Oak Middle School. Thank you. I don't know if I said the essential.
Yes, you did. Thank you. And you say your name a lot better than I do.
Thanks. No,
so Kelly, Kelly, a little bit from you.
Sure thing. So again, I'm Kelly. I'm a PCC at 2 elementary schools in Silver Spring, Crest Haven, and Roscoe Nix Elementary. I don't have any kids, but if it's valid to say, I am the oldest of 3 kids. So in a way, I think that, you know, I got to kind of look over them and do that, you know, mom number 2 type of parenting with them. So and I've also worked with teens before. So in a way, you know, it's also like you're their mentor and you're there to support them. So a lot of the parenting, I think, kind of just it's all together. It all ties in together.
Yes. Thank you, Kelly. And Sandra.
Sure. So my name is Sandra Woods, and I'm a parent community coordinator, and I serve high school, Watkins Smith High School, Montgomery Village Middle School, and Sedgwick Elementary School. And I do have 2 children. One is, my youngest one is a 19, and he's at Pittsburgh University. My oldest is already graduated, and she's now a active adult working and paying bills just like everybody else.
Yay. Okay, Gabrielle.
Hi.
Gabriela, right? Gabriela.
Yeah. My name is Gabriela, okay. Gabriela Cordero. I have 2 kids. One is 8-year-old, and the younger one is 3, almost 4. And yeah, that's my information.
Okay, great, thank you. And I'm sorry, but I don't want to mess up your first name. Ayca?
Yeah, hello, my name is Aycan.
Aycan?
Yeah, a great pronunciation.
Okay.
I'm from Turkey. I'm a stay-at-home mom at the moment. I have a primary school daughter, 6 years old. And with the online schooling, my parenting job gets a lot harder, and I'm trying to get all the help I can get around. That's all.
Okay. Okay. I can understand that one. All right. And I know that there's some other people on the line, but I can't see them. Can you, Kelly? Can you see? This should be Rebecca.
Yeah, no, I can't see unless they turn on their cameras.
Okay.
But they should be able to hear us, and they can still share if they unmute themselves. So if for those that don't have the cameras on, that's okay. But if you want to, please jump in and share with us, that'll be great.
Well,
Yeah,
hi.
please. I think it was, okay.
Yeah,
Roxanne,
hi.
okay.
Yeah, Roxana. My name is Roxana. And actually, I have no idea why I'm having problems with my video, but it's not that I don't want to. It's just I don't know how to turn it on. I click on it and it looks black, right? I'm clicking.
Yes.
So I don't know. But anyway, I have two children. They're ages 9 and 10, 4th and 5th grader. And actually, my son just got diagnosed like a year ago with ADHD. And boy, has this, been very troubling, especially with the whole online learning. So I'm here to learn how to be able to help with him. I'm actually a stay-at-home mom, so I'm grateful for that, because honestly, if I wasn't there sitting with him, he would not be in class. So I'm just here to learn more and help him out and my daughter, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, and we can talk about some of those things because I have a lot of experience working with a child who has ADHD.
Thank you.
So we can talk about some options that you can use. I know there's like 2 more people at least on the line. If you want to unmute and introduce yourself, please do.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is actually my son's name that you see on the screen. My name is Mila, and I have 2 boys. One is, my younger son is 7, and this is Val, whose registration from Zoom meetings, I guess, remained on my screen. But
Yes.
I am struggling as well with the distance learning. I'm working from home, so I need to put in my work hours in addition to trying to pursue somehow getting a super energetic 7-year-old to stay behind the computer, and it's not working very well for us. It's just not really happening. My older son is 18 and he graduated during the pandemic earlier this year. So he's currently taking classes at Montgomery College. I don't need to worry about him. He's obviously pretty independent, but the 7-year-old is definitely a struggle. And I have lost my temper and patience on occasion. So I'm looking forward to gaining some more skills on how to be a better parent.
Okay. So, I mean, that's great because I think we can all discuss this. When this active parenting was produced and everything, there was no pandemic and a lot of people hadn't even heard of Zoom, less more kids going to class on Zoom. So we'll think of some and talk about this because it's very important on strategies that people are using and how to work with someone who may have, challenges sitting in front of Zoom. Like myself, there's times when I have these 3-hour meetings on Zoom and I just want to blank my screen out and go 2 feet over and get in the bed. So I know it's hard for young people who want to when they see a computer, they see video games, not classrooms. So we'll talk about that, okay? Thank you, Val, for sharing that. And Roxanne, sometimes I have to disconnect and come back in because I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't work right for me. But for right now, we're going to be looking at videos. We're going to be talking about things. So I wouldn't worry right now. Is there anybody else on that would like to share? Because I know somebody was in the waiting room.
Yeah, I think we had someone else. I don't know if they might want to share.
Okay, well, if they're not ready now, maybe later on they will be, okay? And we're gonna talk a little bit about what is active parenting, and then we're gonna talk about what are the rules and procedures for this group, okay? All right. Let me see if we can get this video started. This is video number 1 for our group tonight. Can everybody hear it?
If maybe we could turn up the volume just a bit.
Okay. Is that helping?
Not too much. I know I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing on my end. I don't know if any other participants are having the same issue.
Can you turn up the volume on your end?
Yes,
Kelly?
we can hear it.
I don't think I'm able to do that.
Really need to raise the volume. It's not very audible.
It's not what? I'm sorry.
So since the video is playing from your computer, what we need to make sure is that your volume is the one that's raised.
Okay.
If I'm wondering, depending on the kind of computer that you have, the volume may be on your top right hand, or maybe on the bottom.
Here, hold on. Let me see. I can turn it up as high, but I don't know if it's the volume or not. Hold on just a minute, okay? We tried all this out and everything was working just wonderful.
You see, when you started playing the video was that it's almost like we weren't able to hear you, but now that you're back on, I'm able to hear you again.
Okay, but not hear the video.
Correct. Maybe try playing it again.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me see if I can. Okay. Let me share again. Okay, record chat. There is something that also is on when you set up the your information on the Zoom that allows you to hear volumes from, the computer. So let's try it again, okay? And we'll see how it works. And if it not, we'll just continue, okay? All right. Let me see. I want to share. about now?
I think that's a lot better.
What to say.
That's a
To
lot
make
better.
it better, to make it okay. Sometimes I wonder just what to do, where to take a stand, and how to help them through the tough times and the bad times, the time we share as a family. It's not long, the time we had together as a family. Active parenting, the most important job in my life. Active parenting, the job of my life. Mom was always so bossy about everything, saying do this, do that, drink your milk, brush your teeth, always ordering me around. Finally, one day I decided I had enough.
We're leaving in a few minutes. Put this on.
No.
What did you say?
I don't see why you blocked this site.
Because it's full of things that are okay for adults and not for 9-year-olds.
But Zoe does it all the time and she's only 9.
You're not Zoe and I'm not her mother. I'm yours.
Here's a question for you. Now, if I gave you a nickel to go with your pennies, would you trade me for this quarter and this dime?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Good thinking, Kayla. You just made a nickel.
I think I just made 35 cents, since it was all your money to start with.
Smart girl. Maybe I'll come work for you someday.
Hello, and welcome to Active Parenting. I'm Gerardo Davila, and I'll be your host as we navigate the sometimes stormy but ultimately satisfying seas of parenting. Parenting can be challenging work, filled with ups and downs and unexpected turns, and knowing how to laugh is going to help. Of course, parenting is also serious business that demands that we do the best for the sake of our children, ourselves, and our very way of life. Fortunately, it can also be one of the most joyful experiences known to humankind. So parenting is many things, and we're going to experience a little of each of them during this program. You'll meet 4 families who will help bring the skills and ideas in this program to life. The Moores, Jeffrey and Nicole, and their 2 children, Kayla, 6, and Jordan, 10. The Alvarez family, Andrea and her 2 children, Sophia, 9, and Lucas, 6. Andrea's mother, Martina, lives with them as well. The Chandlers, Chris and Laura, a blended family. Daniel is from Laura's previous marriage, and he's 11 years old. Their 5-year-old Nicholas came later. And finally, May Han and her daughter, Isabel, who is 7 years old. May maintains a cooperative co-parenting relationship with her former husband, Isabel's father. You probably noticed that we have represented some of the wonderful diversity that exists in families. Even so, you may find that the families in this video don't match your family exactly. Don't be concerned. You can be sure that these families experience many of the same problems as all families. Over Active Parenting's 30-year history, we have found that families are much more alike than different, and that families of various races, religions, nationalities, and economic backgrounds have learned these lessons well and have made positive improvements in their family lives. In fact, active parenting is used all over the world. It works in any country that embraces democratic principles, teaching a model of parenting that helps parents prepare their children to be successful, contributing members of their communities. It includes skills not only for handling the everyday challenges of parenting, but also for helping your children develop the character and values that will serve them well for a lifetime. Qualities like courage, responsibility, cooperation, self-esteem, and respect. Now, it is my privilege to introduce you to the author and founder of Active Parenting, Dr. Michael Popkin. It was Dr. Popkin's vision of using video to enhance parenting education that led to the first active parenting program in 1983. Now, in its fourth edition, Active Parenting continues its leadership role in parenting education with online courses, training programs for leaders, and an innovative eye on the future. Dr. Popkin, the author of a dozen programs and over 30 books, has traveled throughout the world talking to parents and educators about the importance of parenting education and has appeared on hundreds of television shows, including CNN and Oprah. And like most of us, he is also a parent. Dr. Michael Popkin.
Hello and welcome to Active Parenting. Your commitment of time and energy in being here says a lot about how seriously you take the job of parenting. And for that, I congratulate you. When I talk to groups of parents and professionals, I always point out that parenting is both important and difficult. Important to the future of any society, and difficult in that today's complex world creates many problems that didn't exist in generations past. And like any job that's both important and difficult, parenting deserves training and support. Now, thanks to organizations and individuals like the ones making your program possible, parenting education is being made available to more and more parents. And there's a bonus to the time you invest in learning to be an active parent. As one parent put it, active parenting not only helped me become a better parent, it helped me become a more successful person. You'll be able to apply many of the same skills you learn in this program to solving and preventing problems in your life outside of parenting as well. So have a great time and keep an open mind for new ideas. I'll look forward to joining you again from time to time throughout the program.
Now let's see what's in store for us in the coming 6 sessions. In session 1, the active parent, you'll discover the skills and qualities of character your children will need to survive and thrive in the 21st century. You'll learn about different parenting styles and why it's important to be an active leader in your family instead of a reactive follower. You'll also learn about how a child's brain develops, the secret of building a strong parent-child relationship based on mutual respect, and how a simple yet powerful method using choices can help you sidestep many of those angry conflicts that parents and kids get into. In session 2, cooperation and communication, you'll learn how to use the inevitable problems that families face as opportunities to teach cooperation, responsibility, and other important family values. You'll also learn communication skills that help you provide support and guidance when it's needed, while still encouraging your children to develop their own problem-solving skills. In session 3, responsibility and discipline, you'll learn powerful methods of discipline that not only redirect your children toward positive behavior, but also teach them responsibility for their actions in the process. In session 4, building courage and self-esteem, you'll learn effective methods for encouraging these essential qualities and how they help your children avoid failure cycles and move into success cycles now and throughout their lives. In session 5, understanding and redirecting misbehavior, you will learn the 4 reasons kids most often misbehave and how to use your new active parenting skills to redirect your children towards positive behavior. We'll pay particular attention to handling power struggles and anger for both parents and children. Finally, in session 6, Active Parenting for School Success, will present 7 smart things you can do to help your children succeed in school. And you'll learn important steps for having a productive talk with your children about tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs. If this sounds like a full 6 sessions, you're right. And to get the most out of the experience, it is essential that you keep up with your reading and home activities each week. This will reinforce and extend what you learn in your group sessions and help you apply the information at home where it counts the most.
Okay. So when you think about this, and you can open your mics and we can have a discussion about this. I know that it says in there 6 sessions, but unfortunately we're only going to be able to do 4. But we will do the one about punishment and discipline, and we will do the one about courage, and we will also do the one about school, to give you a round view of some of the things that are going to be coming up. There's a couple of ground rules we have, and so I'd like you to, I'm going to put up these ground rules, and then we'll talk about if there's any other things that we'd like to put up also. What do you all think about that opening video? Anyone?
Well, this Barnabas, I liked the diversity that was brought into it all. Since we all come from the four corners of the world, it's important to always incorporate diversity in what we do so that we understand what each other brings to the table.
Yes. Yes, I like that too. Anybody else? Well, like I told you, I'm watching my grandchildren for 4 or 5 days. And as you saw running through the video was one of my grandsons. And it's very difficult because, you know, I'm not his parent, I'm the grandparent. And I have to use all these things that I've learned in active parenting to talk with him and to work with him because I love my daughter, you know, but she has different parenting skills than I do, you know, different parenting methods than I do. So I have to be the grandmother and I have to set my standards and boundaries, but I don't want to, how do you say, traumatize my grandchildren and send them back home. So, you know, I have to limit, I have to not limit, but take out the yelling and screaming and be firm and sit down and talk with them. And I've learned a lot of techniques from here. Do they always work? No, they don't. I'm gonna be honest with you, you know, you have to just keep on trying. And so I hope that you will enjoy this. And once you get the book and the workbook, I think you will also see how it can benefit you. Okay. All right, let's look at some of these ground rules, okay? Be open to learning from other families if they don't look or sound like yours, right? Just because a family doesn't look like me, or if they're not my same, of my same culture and stuff, doesn't mean I can't learn from somebody. Be forgiving of yourself, because sometimes we want to beat ourselves up because things are not going like we wanted them to go, you know? And we have to understand that, you know, things happen to children, you know, and that we have to be forgiving of ourselves and understanding, and that takes out the frustration so that we are not frustrated with them also. And when you get to that two people colliding, that doesn't work at all. And we have to encourage each other. So while we're on here, we're going to talk about things, hopefully, and we'll and give each other encouragement and offer each other support and also options. I don't like to say that we'll offer each other, you know, things. Well, the things that we do are options. We're not telling anybody you should do this and you should do that. We're saying that here are some options that you might want to try, okay? And be patient. Be patient with your child. Be patient with yourself. Speak as often as you like, but keep your comments brief. We need your feedback in order for this program to work. We need you to talk about the situations that are happening to you. What is shared in this group stays in this group. And I have to say that, you know, if it's anything about child abuse or child neglect, it will have to be talked about and it will have to be reported. I am a mandated reporter, but anything else we can talk about. Is there anything else that you all would like to add to this? Val or Roxanne? Okay. Kelly, any other ground rules that you all usually have that you?
I was just gonna say maybe respecting confidentiality.
Yes. Okay. All right. It's a good one. Also, we have these new terms. It's called ouch. And ouch is that I may say something that may affect you in some way. And I want you to say ouch, right? Because then we can stop and we can, you know, look at what that means to you. Did we offend you? Did we say something that you know, agreed with and everything? Or is it something that you feel strongly about and want to talk about? But if you just say ouch in the chat box, Kelly or Sandra or anyone else will, you know, hear it and they will let you speak, okay? All right. So the purpose of parenting is to protect and prepare children to survive and thrive in a society in which we will live. We need our children to be protected. We need to prepare them because they need to survive and thrive. In this pandemic area, this is so true, right? We've had to change the way we do things. We've had to protect our children by teaching them how to wash their hands for 20 minutes and to use sanitizers and to put on masks. We've prepared them, you know, all along to be at home, to work on Zoom, to not go out in public the way they used to, and just touch everything. One thing I had to stop my grandchildren from doing is touching everything, you know? You just can't touch everything now. Because this is a time when we're living in the pandemic stage where people can catch the COVID-19, and that can be devastating for a family. So that is the purpose of our parenting, to help our children learn, even though they are learning virtually, to help them understand, and for us to understand why they aren't going back to school right now, you know, and what is it that we need to do? I think it was Val, no, Val is your son's name, but Val's mother, I don't remember the first name, but you were talking about how hard it is to get him to sit in front of Zoom. And I think, Roxanne, you were also talking about that. So we're gonna talk about, you know, what are some things that we can do to get our kids to sit and to learn and to focus. And sometimes it's hard because they do have, you know, challenges that make it very hard for them to do that. So we'll talk about that. So our society is very high tech, it's diverse, and it's democratic. Right now, I'm being very patient with this voting exercise. For right now, I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't care who wins, but I want it to be over with. I want them to make a decision, and that's what it's, so we can go on with our lives, you know. So, you know, I want the democratic process to work. I want my kids to understand it. So those are the kind of things that we are preparing our children for our society. So here's another video, and this is called Remember the WASA, and we'll discuss this afterwards.
You know, I've always loved the image of a ship heading out to sea. It holds such promise of hope and adventure, like this model of the royal warship Vasa. The Vasa was built in 1628 and it was one of the most formidable warships of its time. Its upper deck of cannons gave it twice the firepower of most ships. There was a war on between Sweden and Poland, and the Swedes were counting on the Vasa's firepower to turn the tide in their favor. And there was a lot of hope riding on the Vasa when it set out on its maiden voyage. But less than a mile out, it hit some high winds and stormy seas, promptly capsized and sank to the bottom of the bay, where it remained for nearly 350 years. We all know that the world is full of risks for ships and for children. How do we protect our sons and daughters and prepare them to cope with both the risks and the opportunities they'll face as they grow up? What will enable them to survive, to thrive, and to make real contributions to their families and communities? And what does this have to do with a 17th century Swedish warship? Well, what caused the Vasa to capsize was a lack of ballast in its hull. Ballast, you might know, is the weight put in the bottom of the ship to give it stability as it rides in the water. The Vasa's upper deck of cannon made it top-heavy, and without additional ballast, it was unstable. Faced with the winds and waves of a stormy sea, the ship went over. But there's another definition of the word ballast, that which gives stability to character. Qualities like courage, responsibility, cooperation, self-esteem, and respect, along with our consistent love and parental support, are the ballast that gives our children the emotional stability to withstand the challenges they'll face. Yes, this program will help you influence your children's behavior, and it will help you enjoy your time together as a family. But as important as those things are, we want to go further and help you instill in your children the character and values that underlie positive behavior and lead to a meaningful life, qualities that will help them make good decisions when you're not there to guide them. In other words, we want to help you give your kids ballast.
Okay, ballast. I always want to know where things came from. So it's a noun. It says that which gives stability to character. So knowing that, you know, there's a balance that we need as parents and that our children need also in their life. Sometimes I'm very unbalanced, you know, because of the way life is. And when you have multiple kids and everything, you're ripping, you're running, you want to have a routine, but you can't because so much is going on. So sometimes you have more energy and more activity going on than you do, you know, that being at home, being comfortable, getting rest, eating well and stuff like that. So you have to really regulate how things are. All right, so what it takes to survive in a dictatorship. And we're going to talk about these three things: dictatorship, a democratic society, and a lawless society. So dictatorship, fear, blind obedience, no belief in free will, low self-esteem. Because when somebody says do something and doesn't talk or give a person a chance to express themselves, it develops low self-esteem. It does not help the child grow. What about a lawless society? What do you think some of the things are for a lawless society? Anyone? Do you have anybody out there? Hello?
No structure.
No,
what?
No
rules.
Structure.
Okay, a lack of structure. Great, great. Okay. Yeah. A strong will, violence, self-centeredness, right? Because they can do whatever they want to, and sensitive to others. You know, and what about a democratic society? What do you think are some of the characteristics of that?
Confidence.
So sometimes confidence, courage, responsibility, respect, high self-esteem. good school smart skills, problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, and communication skills. When you have a democratic society, right, you're putting the best of both worlds together. So kids are able to be courageous. They're able to think on their stuff on their own. They're able to be responsible. They, cooperate a lot better because you're showing them respect and they are showing you respect. And that builds that high self-esteem. Okay. So think about this, that this is one of the things. So there's some risks in a democratic society. We've seen this: tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs, violence, sexuality. Right now, during this pandemic, we've seen people, rioting. We've seen people being arrested. We've seen people being shot and killed. We know that there's drug and alcohol out there and that our kids are susceptible to all that. So it's very, very important that we talk about these risks with our children also. So how parents can reduce the risk? So one of the things is building a strong relationship with your kids. And you say, well, how do I do that? And we're going to talk about that, right? Build character and personal skills with your children. Talk persuasively about the risks. We have to talk to them about this, and at an early age too. Filter out the negative influence. Sometimes we say, oh, I don't like my child going out with this boy. He's a negative influence. Sometimes it's good to bring them in your home and check them out yourself, because sometimes they need some guidance, right? And I always say that, it's good to know who my kids are around, because just because we tell them they can't be around a child that we think has negative influence, what do you think they're going to do?
Do exactly the opposite.
Yes, do exactly the opposite. I can remember raising my kids and tell them, I don't want you to be around this person, right? And that was the one person that they were around. So I started inviting those kids that I thought were sketchy and didn't care about too much, right, into my home, and to start talking with them. And I found out that some of them, it wasn't that they were a bad influence. It was that they didn't know any better either, Sometimes, kids, they're brought up differently, so they have a different outlook. So getting to know them and letting them know how you do things can help out. So these are some of these kids I still see as grown up. I think my son now is 26. And so all of his friends still call me Mama Pat, and some of them I was like, oh, this kid is not good, but came to like him. He was a very good friend to my son. And, I had to really look at why I didn't like him and what was the reason behind it. And how could I communicate with both of them so it was a positive thing. But there are other negative influence that we need to filter out, right? Like, I know someone said they had a 6-year-old. So you don't want your 6-year-old looking at some of the things that are on TV, so you may want to filter that. On the internet, I know when my daughter was younger, one time my brother came to me and said, I think your daughter's talking to a man, and I think she was around 7 or 8, and she was on the internet. And he said, I think your daughter's talking to a man online. And I said, what? So she thought it was a young boy, in high school. but it really was a grown man. I could tell by the way he, you know, answered questions to her and kept asking her, where does she live? And, you know, could he, you know, get her telephone number and stuff like that. And so I had to start blocking her from the internet. I had no idea that things like that could happen on the internet, you know. Now we kind of are aware of it, but we still have to make sure that our kids are protected from this. So here are some protective factors that can help our children out, and individuals, you know, people that they are surrounded by, family members, you know, that are positive family members that, you know, are protective towards our children, peers, you know, that are, you know, helpful for our children to be around. You know, sometimes I'd rather see a group of boys in my living room than to have them out someplace else in the community. So I'll let my, you know, grandsons now have, you know, friends over and everything. And at school, school can be a protective factor too, because we have good teachers. I know we have some teachers that are not so good, and so we have to filter them out. But all in all, we have some very good teachers, teachers that want to help our children out and be positive. And the community at large, the faith-based community, you know, the business community, all of them can be also protective factors. And society. We have to train our kids about society. What's right, what's wrong. My grandson is very interested in what's happening with the election and everything, you know. So he runs in here. He's been running in here all day long. What's going on now, Grandma? Tell me what's going on. So we have to talk to them about those things, and really, you know, kids are like little people. You know, we can't just ignore them and tell them where to go and tell them what to do without sitting down and listening to them. We have to make sure that they understand that we are listening to, and that we are a part of their lives, and we respect them for who they are. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? Or anything that they want to say? Okay, let's go to the next slide. So there are styles of parenting, okay? And I'm going to give you a test for homework to see what kind of parenting style do you have. So there's the dictator, there's the doormat, right? A dictator is reactive, right? You can't do this, don't do this, because I say so, right? A doormat is, okay, go ahead, you know, do whatever you want to, you know, I'm busy, I don't have time, figure it out yourself, you know. So a doormat is just one who, you know, allows a child, that's that lawlessness, you know, and the dictator is one who, you know, really is like not allowing the child to react or think or be a part of being a child and learning. And then there's the active parent. Active parent is proactive. And when you look at these symbols, right, you see the round symbol here for dictatorship, and then the zigzag for doormat, and then the active parent has a circle, like a dictator, and a zigzag, like a doormat. Because there are times, right, as a parent, you have to be And you have to be that dictator. Like when a child is gonna touch a stove, you're not gonna just let them touch the stove. You're gonna say, no, don't do that. You know, or if they're walking out into the street, you're gonna stop them if they're going out into traffic and everything. No, you gotta look both ways. That way we are dictatorships at some time, but it's a positive way. And then doormats is a way of letting a child, you know, test their limits, but we do that within boundaries, okay? So we're gonna talk a little bit more about the active parent and how that is. I wanna share another slide with you, hold on. And I'm gonna share something else with you. Uh-oh. Okay. Hold on just a second. I lost it. Let me see if I can put it up here. Okay. There it is. Interesting. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I'm giving you your homework early, right? And I will also put this in the chat box. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go to this email link and take a parenting quiz, okay? And then we talked about the address and everything. You don't have to put it in the chat box. But the other thing for your homework is to do something for yourself. And I'll explain that to you later on. So I'm gonna put this, this link in the chat box, okay? And I'll also put my information in the chat. Does everybody know how to use the chat box?
I think everyone does. That's how they've shared so far their contact information.
Okay. All right. Let me paste this in here. That's the link. I'd like you to go to that after, you know, this week before next Wednesday. Okay. And all right. And complete that active parenting quiz. Okay. Let's see. Also, if you would like to, get the quiz for your partner, there is one that you can print out. Okay. All right.
I don't
So
know.
do you kind of understand? Go ahead.
I don't know if I see the link on the chat.
Yeah, I was just gonna share the same thing, Pat. I'm not sure. I can't see it on my end.
Okay, maybe. Okay, hold on, because maybe what I did is, hold on. Yeah, because what I did was put it in there, but didn't hit enter. There it is. Okay.
Yep, now we see it.
All right. So I just thought it was magically going to happen, you know. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to. All right. So does anybody have any questions about this dictatorship or doormat? And then the active parenting being a little bit of both at the right time? And I saw when I got off of this, I saw some more people. So.
We don't have any questions in the chat.
Okay, all right. So let's go forward. So this is video 3, and this talks about the styles of parenting that we just went through. All right, to give you a little bit more information.
Did you ever wonder why we parent the way we do? You may be surprised to learn that many of the methods we use as parents go back hundreds of years to medieval Europe. Our present-day system is left over from a feudal system in which the king or queen were at the top, followed by the nobles, knights, skilled craftsmen, and on down to the peasant class. Because parents had to teach
Pat, you need to unmute yourself in order for us to hear the video.
on down to the youngest daughter who reigned sovereign over the family cat. And just as the king controlled the lives of his subjects, parents had the right to control the lives of their children. Reward and punishment became the tools that each superior in the hierarchy used to keep his or her inferiors in line. So children were seen and not heard, spoke only when spoken to, and were expected to know their place. This style of parenting, in which the parent allows very little freedom to the child and is very tight with the discipline and control, is known as the autocratic or dictator style, and can be represented by a circle symbolizing limits without freedom. Kings, emperors, and dictators lose control, and sometimes their heads, as their subjects eventually rebel for a greater say in the choices that affect their lives. Many times when dictators were overthrown, there was a period of no government or lawlessness. Something similar happened among many parents in the 1960s and 70s when they discovered that the old parenting style wasn't working very well anymore. They reacted by doing the opposite and turning to a style of discipline that was too lax, in which too much freedom was allowed. It is often referred to as the permissive style of parenting, where parents behaved as doormats, allowing their children to walk all over them. We'll show this as a zigzag line that stands for freedom without limits. Those who are fortunate enough to live in a democratic society know that people need both freedom and limits. We treasure our freedom in a society of equals, but we also recognize the need for laws that will somewhat limit this freedom and maintain order. The active or authoritative style of parenting that we will be teaching in this program is based on this concept of freedom within limits, with the parent as an active leader in the family. Actually, we should say freedom within expanding limits, because as the child gets older, an active parent gradually decreases the discipline and allows the child to make more of his or her own decisions, keeping in mind what is appropriate for the child's age and level of maturity. As we do this, we'll still have some conflicts with our children over where the limits should be, but we won't have the rebellions that characterize the dictator and doormat parenting styles. Let's take a look at some examples of these 3 styles. Is the parent playing the role of dictator, doormat, or active parent?
Caleb, how many times have I told you to keep this room neat?
Can't I clean it up when the show's over?
No, you'll do it now.
Why? No one's coming over.
That's not the point.
Well, I don't see why I can't just finish watching this show.
Because
why?
Because I'm your father and I said so. Now, clean this mess up this instant, or there'll be no TV at all for at least a week.
That's not fair.
Well, who said life was fair? Hey, Kayla Moore, you're not going anywhere until I say you are. Now let's make it no TV for 2 weeks. Or would you rather have a spanking?
Okay, what do you think about that? I confess, I used to be like that. It's either my way or the highway. That's it. And then I start yelling and screaming. So I don't know. Am I the only one like that? Because sometimes you get frustrated, right? What do you all think? What do you think that style is?
I think it's a dictatorship. I'm Marjan, by the way.
Yes.
And it happens actually a lot, for instance, in my house, especially when we are in hurry and we need the kid to do something like really quick. For instance, not now, but before, like if we have to go out and catch the school bus And she needs to put on, I don't know, her coat, her shoes.
Yeah. And a lot of times, I mean, I'm not, you know, it's happened to me too. A lot of times it's because I don't have enough time. You know, the child feels like they have enough time to do whatever, but I have not allowed enough time or haven't prepared enough or whatever. And I just feel like they're just being too slow. You know, you come on, because if you miss the bus, then I have to take you, then I'm going to be late for work, you know, and so I can't have that, you know. So then I'm yelling and screaming, and then they have their episode, and then we get in this button heads, you know, and it never works out in my favor. So, you know, that's kind of hard. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Val?
Yeah, that parenting style also could appear when we are tired, maybe, or maybe when we have some intermittent stress, maybe time, I think.
Yeah.
And I think in parenting we used to have all the style because it is so true that as a parent we have like a predominant style, but sometimes when we are happy or when we want to, you know, to make something, maybe we could be like a democratic, for example, parents, or maybe we could be like you know, yeah, different style, but this kind of fluctuation, I think maybe could bring to the child or make they feel like I forgot the word. Yeah, like they could recognize us when we are in a moment. Yeah, frustrated, yes. But also it could be confusing for them if we change different styles of parents.
Yeah, we have to be consistent. And in order to be consistent, we need to do the active parenting. If we change from a dictator to if we are using the dictatorship a lot, and then all of a sudden we just use the passive aggressive state and everything, it can be confusing for the child. And then the child doesn't know how to act. And that's what happens when you have two parentings. When you have two people in the home parenting. It doesn't have to be a husband and wife. It could be, you know, like a lot of times my mother lived with us. Well, my mother has one way of parenting, and I had another way of parenting. That's why I'm very cautious about how I parent my grandchildren, because their parents have a way of doing things, and I have a way of doing things. And so, you know, sometimes it's not on the same level. And you're right. I can get anxious about something. I can get stressed out about something. And then it's like, okay, come on, you got to do this now. Right. And then, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I used to think that my kids were doing these things on purpose. You know, especially my son. I would tell my son to go upstairs, take his bath, put on his pajamas, and put his clothes out for, you know, tomorrow for school. And an hour later, I would go upstairs, and he's up there throwing the ball up and, you know, against the wall. And I'm like, you know, what is he doing? Well, my son was diagnosed with ADHD. So when you give a child more than one or two directions at a time, they can forget. So therefore, by the time he got upstairs, nothing registered to him. So what I started doing was giving him one direction at a time. Go upstairs and take your shower. And then I would have to come upstairs after he took a shower and say, now lay out your clothes, or, clean up your room, or whatever, or let's have a story time, but one direction at a time for most kids is enough, because sometimes we just rattle off all kind of things to them and they're like, okay, I'm going to do the thing I like the most, and I'm not going to do the thing I like the least, So you're right. We do have to watch how we give our directions. So let's look at this. Who makes the rules in a dictatorship? You can unmute if you'd like to. Who makes the rules in a dictatorship?
Parent.
Okay, the parent does. And why?
Because they're in control.
Okay, and then how are the rules enforced?
There are no choice.
Right, they have to do it. It's my way or the highway, right? Okay, so the parent makes the rules. Why? Because the parent says so. And it's like either a reward or punishment type of thing, It's my way or the highway. And if you don't do it right, you get punished, Okay, how about doormat? Who makes the rules doormat? Oh. Uh-oh. Who makes the rules for the doormat?
Could it be the child?
The child makes the rules, yeah. And why?
I guess they know how to fool the parents.
Or the parents, are not making the rules, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making their own rules because they say so, right? And how are rules enforced?
They're not.
Yeah, very good. I don't know why that keeps doing that. Okay, let's go with part 2 of styles of parenting.
You probably recognize that last example as the autocratic or dictator style of parenting. Dad was intent on laying down the law to Kayla with no concern for her thoughts or feelings. When we use anger and punishment to impose our will on our children, we often find ourselves in a full-fledged power struggle, a struggle where there are no winners. Now, let's look at another example. Which style of parenting is this?
Kayla, honey, this room is pretty messy. Don't you think you ought to clean it up?
In a minute, Mom. Just as soon as this show's over.
Okay, but don't forget. It's been 45 minutes. Isn't your show over yet?
Oh, yeah. Well, this other show that I really like a lot came on. It'll be over in a few minutes, okay?
Well, okay, but this room really is pretty messy. Okay, your show is over. Now, please get up and clean up this room.
Okay. Will you help me, please?
I'd love to, sweetie, but I've got to finish this paperwork, and I've got some other things that I need to do.
Please. Now we all know where you like everything cooked.
Well,
please. Maggie, please.
Okay, but no messing around.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you,
I'll
Mom.
be right back. I just have to go to the bathroom.
Okay. So how many times do our kids trick us into doing the work that we are telling them to do? It happens to me. I don't know about you, but that happens sometimes, right? And so what do you think that one was? What kind of parenting style was that?
I guess permissive.
Yeah, permissive or doormat. Why? And for the doormat, it says who makes the rules? The child does, like you said. Why? Because the child says so. And how is it enforced? They aren't. Okay. All right. So let's go and look at the third style.
The previous scene between Nicole and Kayla is an example of the doormat style of parenting. Nicole, in her attempt to keep everything peaceful with her daughter, lets Kayla take advantage of her. When we pamper our children by putting ourselves in their service on a regular basis, we are not teaching them the value of responsibility and cooperation. When we permit too much freedom and are unwilling to set reasonable limits on a child's behavior, the result is often a spoiled child who lacks courage and self-esteem as well. Now, before we demonstrate the active style of parenting, I want to point out that both the dictator and doormat styles have their strengths. The dictator knows how to be firm as a parent. This is important in being able to set limits.
So many kids these days think they can get away with anything. They need a parent who will take a stand and show them they can't.
The doormat, on the other hand, knows how to be flexible as a parent. And this is important in knowing how to allow for freedom of choice within those limits.
I think kids need to learn to make decisions for themselves. After all, we won't be there telling them what to do forever.
So, in many ways, the active parent combines the best of both styles, being both firm and flexible, as he or she allows freedom within limits. Now let's see one way that Nicole or Jeffrey, or you for that matter, could use this active style of parenting with Kayla.
Kayla, this room has gotten pretty messy, and it looks to me like it's mostly your things.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you remember we talked about you keeping this room neat?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll clean up after the show.
And what time is this show over?
At 8.
That's 45 minutes. You know, I don't feel good about waiting this long, especially since you've already agreed to keep this room neat on your own. How about picking up during the next commercial?
Okay.
Kayla, I thought we agreed you pick up during the next commercial.
Oh, Mom, I have to go to the bathroom.
I understand. Those things can happen.
Oh, no. Not another one. Mom!
When you pick up your stuff, you can watch TV. And I bet if you hurry, you can get this place straight in 2 minutes.
Dad!
Hey, I was going to stay out of this, but since you asked, you made an agreement with your mom, you can keep it.
Yeah, I know. But what's the big deal about keeping this room straight anyway? Why do I have to in the first place?
Because in this family, we take pride in our home, and that means keeping things reasonably neat.
Look, hurry, or you'll miss the end of the show.
Okay. So of course that is what? The active parenting, right? And when you think about that, okay, who makes the rules? So the parent and the child. It's a combined effort. It's a partnership. And why? Because the situation called for it. So when they come to an agreement and do things, it's because that's what the situation calls for. And how are rules enforced? There are natural and logical consequences, and we'll talk about what those are. The parent uses the iMessage to help solve the problem. And we use problem-solving skills and encouragement. Okay, so those are all things we're going to be talking about in the upcoming sessions. Now, one of the big things is that, do we need to take a break? Would everybody like a 5-minute break or something, or would you like to continue on? Are we good to go?
Excuse me?
If not,
how
just say
long
so.
is the session?
Till 7:30.
Oh, okay.
So we have
Okay.
about 25 more minutes.
Thank you. I actually have to sign off, but thank you so much. It was wonderful, and I will see you the next time.
Okay, all right. All right, so let's, anybody else? Go ahead, Kelly.
Sorry about that. I was just going to say, for those that do have to go, I'm going to drop a quick link in the chat box. Hopefully you guys can take some time to fill out a quick survey that can just give us feedback regarding today's session. Thank you.
Yes, please. Yes, I'd like to see the feedback. Okay. Now, this is a video that's very, I think it's very interesting. It's about, you know, the child's brain and how it works. And let's look at this and then we will talk about it, okay?
Soon we'll begin learning the skills of active parenting. But first, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you a little about what scientists have discovered about brain development in children.
Hi, Mr. Davila. I thought you might want some help. Now, I know what you're thinking, like what kid would know anything about brain science? Well, I'm a kid, I have a brain, so I'm pretty much an expert on the subject if you think about it.
Interesting.
Oh, dang on it. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Soon we'll begin learning the skills of active parenting. But first, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you a little about what scientists have discovered about brain development in children.
Hi, Mr. Davila. I thought you might want some help. Now, I know what you're thinking, like what kid would know anything about brain science? Well, I'm a kid, I have a brain, so I'm pretty much an expert on the subject if you think about it.
Interesting logic. In fact, Daniel just illustrated the point I was getting ready to make about the way children's brains work. Let's go inside for a closer look. The first thing you should know about Daniel's brain is that it ought to be called Buck, as in brain under construction, because it's not nearly done yet. It'll grow like crazy throughout Daniel's childhood and teen years. In fact, it won't be fully mature until Daniel is about 25 or even older.
Which is a really, really long time in child years.
Hey, what's going on in here?
Oh, hi, Jordan.
Buck, huh? Well, if you're going to give my brain a name, you can name him Albert, as in Albert Einstein.
Good choice. Because compared to the brains of all the other animals on the planet, the human brain is a real genius.
Even my annoying little sister Kayla's brain?
That's right, Jordan. Although she's only 6, Kayla is already beginning to think in the abstract and make connections that no other animal's brain is capable of, like reading and math.
I'm annoying. Who's always whining about me playing with the things? And how about all those road trips where you freak out if I cross your imaginary line in the back seat?
Now, I'm not taking any sides, Kayla, but you might need to cut your brother some slack because his brain is hardwired to protect his territory. It's a human instinct. Actually, some of these instincts go back millions of years, which is why when we get angry or sense danger, for example, we have what's called the fight or flight response, which gets us ready to either run from danger or stand and fight.
Sounds like one of Jordan's dumb video games. They're not dumb. Are too.
You two are adorable, but let the man tell the parents what he came to tell them.
Thanks, guys and girls. Like I said before, the human brain is constantly developing. especially when we're young. When a baby is born, there isn't much to its brain, just a brainstem and a part called the cerebellum that controls some basic instincts. Feed me, hug me, change my diaper, let me sleep, as well as key functions like heartbeat, breathing, and swallowing. From the outside, it may not look like much is going on in their little heads, but babies' brains are developing fast.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
We never lose that old brain we're born with, but around a child's first birthday, a new part of the brain starts to take over. Some people call this the emotional brain because it triggers feelings like fear, joy, anger, caring, separation distress,
Playfulness. The urge to explore. Love.
We wouldn't want to forget those. But these emotions are strong and need to be managed if we're going to do anything useful with them. So it's a good thing that humans developed a third part of the brain, the rational brain. More technically, it's called the cerebral cortex, and it includes the executive center of the brain, which is in charge of things like sound decision-making, empathy, considering consequences, regulating emotions, self-awareness, and morality.
But like you said, development of this part of the brain isn't complete until the age 25 or more for most people.
Yeah, which is why we sometimes act like such children.
Exactly. In fact, brain development goes along with muscle development and physical growth. So don't expect a 5-year-old to be able to do what a 7-year-old can do.
Or a 7-year-old to be able to do what a 10-year-old can do. That will just make them frustrated and anxious.
Right. And when a human brain gets stressed out, it releases chemicals to help the body deal with it. For kids who experience a lot of stress, the constant presence of these chemicals can actually slow down brain development. On the other hand, when parents hug or play with the child, the brain releases other chemicals that help the child bond with you and make them feel safe and secure.
We can't get too much of that.
This doesn't mean that all stress is bad or that you shouldn't discipline your children in order to help them learn to regulate their emotions and behavior. In fact, without the nurturing and guidance of loving parents and others, human children would be lucky to survive, and they certainly wouldn't thrive.
The fact is, children need their parents a lot more than they sometimes let on.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting about the executive brain functioning, and that it doesn't even start, or until a child gets older, and as it develops, it's not fully developed until a child is 25. So sometimes we're asking children to do things that they have not developed yet, and we also have to remember that each child is an individual. Because you have a 6-year-old, they may not function like another 6-year-old. It all depends on how they grow up, how they are consuming information, and their culture and stuff. So we can't think that every 6-year-old is alike or every 11-year-old is alike. We have to realize that each child is an individual. And some of our children, because they are bombarded by so much, are really hyper intelligent, as far as information, but not so hyper in emotional areas, So they may have the information and may be able to spout it out, but emotionally they're still, a 6-year-old. Does anybody have any comments on that video? It's one of my favorite. Maybe I'm just a science geek. All right, so the order of brain growth and development. 1 is the old brain. That's the one that babies are born with. Basic survival functions, instinctual behavior, fight or flight response. Number 2, as the child gets older, they develop the emotional brain. Emotions, memory, bonding, and this is probably around the age of 5, Rational brain, executive center, still under construction in children and teens, and does not usually mature until age 25 or older sometimes. Okay, the executive controls sound decision making. So when you think that a 5-year-old is going to make sound decision making, it really hasn't developed like that. Empathy. And everybody knows what empathy is. You know, the ability to put yourself in somebody else's, shoes. That's why a 7 or 8-year-old, says, I don't care, when you tell them, well, how do you think he may feel? Another child, how do you think that child may feel? And they said, I don't know, I don't care, because they haven't developed that empathy, right? Consideration of consequences. Why do kids do things when they know they're going to get in trouble? There's a lot of different reasons for that. Sometimes they just have not considered that there are going to be consequences for their action. And regulating emotions, that's a hard one. Self-awareness. Our kids, as they get older, they do not want you to pick out their clothes anymore. How many of you have children that are at the age where they don't want to wear what you tell them to wear? Anybody?
I have 2.
And do they wear what you want them to wear, or they want to wear what they want to wear?
It's variable, but I think I learned that I have to give choice. But for example, when my older one don't want to wear a jacket, I leave him to feel the cold, and then no saying nothing, and give him the experience to understand why is the reason to put the jacket.
Right. Yeah, that's a logical consequence. Because sometimes they don't believe us, right? It's gonna rain, so take your raincoat or take an umbrella or whatever, and they just go out there anyway, and then it rains and they come home soaking wet. That's logical and natural consequences. Okay, Kelly, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to read a comment from the chat shared by Orion. She said that her kids, excuse me, which are boys, don't really care either way.
Okay, so they'll wear whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. But also, it's amazing to me because my son would go out in this bitter cold sometimes with shorts on. I couldn't understand that, and I don't care if I did try to make him wear long pants or whatever, it wasn't going to happen. So I left it alone. As long as he didn't get pneumonia, I was all right, The other thing is morality. And as our children go along, we teach them morality, Develop 3 kinds of skills, and this is how parents can help. We help by nurturing and supporting and giving them those type of skills and using our skills. Also, discipline skills. We have the ability to discipline, not punish. We don't punish kids. Punishment is for prisoners. We use discipline skills, and problem-solving skills. Those are ways that parents can help. Okay, mutual respect. We're going to talk about that, and that, if I respect my child, I also feel that my child should respect me. And we have to do that, and there has to be mutual respect. I have to respect them for who they are as a child and an individual, And I mean, for my parents, if I were to tell my parents that they need to respect me, they would have probably said, well, you're a child, you need to respect me as a parent, and they wouldn't go for that. But nowadays we realize that, you know, our children are just like little people, and we have to respect them, and they want that respect. They need that respect. Participation is another thing that we need to have, and we want their participation. It's very important that we participate in their lives and that we need their participation, because that's what happens, right? When we get up in the morning and they're just moving around and they don't understand that we have to be at work, and if they miss the bus, then we are going to be late for work, and if we're late for work too many times, then we're in trouble. Or if we have Zoom on and it's their turn to sit at in a classroom and they're playing around and everything, that we get an email or a call from the teacher saying your child is playing around. We need them to participate in class, you know, and so that they get the information that they need. So respect is something you have to give in order to receive. And that's very important when you are dealing with kids. You have to give them respect in order to receive respect. And we'll discuss that even more, okay? So let's talk about mutual respect. Uh-oh. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. Sorry.
In the vignette that introduced the active style of parenting, you probably noticed that the parents, Jeffrey and Nicole, treated Kayla respectfully even as they maintained their authority. To be treated respectfully is so important in a society of equals that the absence of respect almost guarantees a power struggle. This may seem obvious. However, the way we talk to children is sometimes so disrespectful that they will continue a misbehavior just to show us they refuse to accept such treatment. If we want our children to respect us, first we have to be willing to respect them. That means not talking to them in ways we wouldn't tolerate from them. Let me show you what I mean.
Time to get ready for your bath. Lucas, why do I have to repeat myself? When I talk to you, I expect you to listen. It's disrespectful to ignore me like that. Do you understand me, young man?
If you had trouble recognizing Mom's behavior as disrespectful in that scene, consider this next scene.
Mother, look at this. Mother, when I talk to you, I expect you to listen. It's disrespectful for you to ignore me like that. Do you understand me, middle-aged woman?
Okay, so our kids demand respect just like we do. All right. I don't know if I would want to be called the middle-aged woman, though. Okay, so one of the things that can be disrespectful and everything to children is yelling at them. And I know I had to learn that. It just that frustration built up in me until I felt like the only way they would hear me is if I yelled. But another parent taught me how to talk in a low tone. And I think my kids, when I talked in a low tone when I was angry and they could see that I was a little angry, it really worked with them. They listened more than when I yelled. They were used to me yelling. But when I talked in a soft tone and they knew that I was upset with them, it did kind of scare them a little bit, you know. Calling them names, you know, sometimes we just forget, you know, and we call our kids stupid or, you know, lazy or things like that. And that kind of stuff sticks, you know. Ignoring them when they're trying to get our attention and we, you know, are just so busy and everything and we ignore them. Overprotecting them. you know, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, and we're giving them all these orders and everything. Not introducing them to others. And I know I've done this, you know, when we used to go to the mall, you know, I would see some friends of mine and they would come up and I would have my kids with me, and I didn't necessarily introduce my kids to them, you know, but that is a way of disrespecting our children, you know, doing for them on a regular basis what they can do for themselves. You know, my kids are able to, you know, fix sandwiches for themselves for lunch. They can take care of themselves. As long as I have the things there, they were able to do that, and I allowed them to do that. So if they wanted a turkey sandwich, okay. If they wanted peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, okay. So sometimes instead of us doing it, we need to allow them to do it. Because as they get older, you know, they're going to have to start feeding themselves, right? And expecting them to fail, misbehave, or otherwise messed up, you know. So I always sat down and talked to my kids and say, okay, we're going to grandma's house. You know, grandma doesn't like this, so I want you to do this, and I want you to do that, you know. And one day, one of my daughters said, well, Mom, you always tell us that. You know we're going to behave at grandma's house because we don't want to make her mad, you know, or make her upset. So, you know, sometimes we feel that we have to, you know, tell them things because they might fail. And so then we're expecting them to fail or misbehave. If you teach your children good manners and everything, then they will probably do what they're supposed to do. And if not, then you correct them. So here's mutual respect, participation, okay. And let's see, how much longer do we have, Kelly?
We have maybe about 5 more minutes, so I think it would probably be a good time to start wrapping up. I did want to bring up that we did have a question that we missed on the chat. Okay. I'm just going to read it out loud real quick. It was when we were talking about empathy. Everyone asked, is empathy development age-based?
No, I don't think so. I think it's all individualized. And usually it takes children a while to develop empathy. It's very, it's something that even it's hard for adults to. We give sympathy. Oh, I'm sorry, you know, but that's not empathy. Empathy is really putting yourself in someone's position and feeling some of the same things that they feel. So it is hard for a child to develop that at an early age. Okay, hope that answers your question.
I just want to comment something. Maybe sure. I think for kids it could be so difficult to have enough experience to make this empathy. Because with empathy, maybe you could do it when you already live something or have that kind of experience. So
right. It may be hard for a child to have empathy for someone who lost their parent when they haven't lost their parent or anyone else in their life. You know, some children at young ages have not experienced loss in their family. So it may be a little hard for them to empathize with somebody. And it does take for any of us to go through different experiences in order to empathize with other people. Okay. All right, so let me stop sharing this, or new share. That's what I want, right? New share. Okay, so remember to go to this link, fill out the quiz, and come back and tell me, or you don't have to tell me, but we'll discuss what kind of parenting skills you have. And just remember, this is just your dominant, you know, but we all have active parenting skills within us too. It's just realizing how to put things forward. I know before I was very much a dictator, and I've tried to work on my skills as an active parent, okay? Like I said, you don't have to put your address, but please send your address to either me or Kelly, or what, Sandra, is yours up there too, your email? Okay, either one of them, because I need to get your books to you. And when you come back next week, I want to know how you have taken care of yourself. Okay, do something special for yourself, because as a parent, if you deplete yourself, then you don't have anything to give to your kids. So you have to keep yourself updated, even if it's 5 minutes in the bathroom by yourself with a book, or sitting in the bathtub with a glass of wine. I'm not promoting drinking or anything, but I'm just saying, or Diet Coke if you want, you know, but just something that you can do to treat yourself. And here is my email, mmosby@mcfof.org.